In the quaint village of Briarwood, Halloween was always a night of magic and mystery. But this year, the townsfolk were on edge. Whispers spread about an old witch who lived in the dark woods at the edge of town. The witch was said to be powerful and feared, but there was another rumour that intrigued everyone even more. She had an adorable black cat named Midnight, who was just as mysterious as she was. Midnight was no ordinary cat. With his sleek, shiny fur and large, luminous green eyes, he was the picture of innocence. But behind his sweet appearance was a cat with a dark secret. Midnight had been with the witch for as long as anyone could remember, and it was said that he could move silently through shadows, appearing and disappearing at will. Some even believed that Midnight was the source of the witch's power. On the eve of Halloween, strange things began to happen in Briarwood. People reported seeing eerie green lights flickering in the woods, and the air grew thick with an unsettling energy. The villagers were too frightened to venture out after dark, fearing the witch and her mysterious cat. But Lila, a young adventurous kitten with a love for adventure, was different. She had always been fascinated by the stories of the witch and Midnight. Determined to uncover the truth, Lila decided to brave the woods and find the witch's cottage. She wanted to meet Midnight, convinced that the cat couldn't be as scary as the villagers said. As night fell and the moon rose, Lila set out, her heart pounding with both excitement and fear. The forest was dark and the trees seemed to close in around her, but Lila pressed on, following the faint glow of green lights. Eventually she reached the witch's cottage, a crooked old house hidden deep in the woods. Lila knocked on the door and it creaked open on its own. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of herbs and magic. Suddenly, Midnight appeared through the shadows, his green eyes glowing in the dim light. He stared at Lila with an intensity that made her shiver, and she stood her ground. The witch, an old woman with wild grey hair and sharp, piercing eyes, entered the room. She looked at Lila with curiosity. "What brings you here, child?" the witch asked in a voice that was surprisingly soft. Lila gathered her courage. "I've come to see Midnight," she said. "I've heard the stories, but I don't believe he's evil. He's just a cat, like any other." The witch smiled, but it was a smile tinged with sadness. "Midnight is no ordinary cat," she said. "He was once a kitten like any other, full of innocence and playfulness. But long ago, a powerful curse was placed on him. He was bound to me, and as long as I live, he can never be free." Lila's heart ached for Midnight. "Is there a way to break the curse?" she asked, determined to help. The witch hesitated, then nodded slowly. "There is a way, but it requires a great sacrifice. Midnight's curse is tied to my magic. If the curse is broken, I will lose my powers and I will fade away." Lila thought for a moment, then looked at Midnight. Despite his eerie appearance, she could see the sadness in his eyes. "You've been alone for so long," Lila said to the witch. "Maybe it's time for a new beginning." The witch sighed, realizing that Lila was right. "Very well," she said. "If you are willing, the curse can be broken." With that, the witch began to chant a spell, her voice filling the room with a strange, humming energy. Midnight's fur bristled and his eyes glowed brighter than ever. As the spell reached its climax, there was a flash of green light and Midnight let out a soft cry. When the light faded, the witch was gone, and Midnight had changed. He was still the same adorable black cat, but something was different. He was free. The curse was broken, and Midnight was no longer bound to the witch. Lila picked up the now purring Midnight, feeling a warmth in her heart. Together, they returned to the village, where Midnight became a beloved companion, no longer feared, but cherished. And every Halloween, Lila and Midnight would sit by the fire, remembering the witch who had finally found peace, and the night they both found their true selves.